So, according to the most recent combat medicine research that has happened recently, it sounds like the three leading causes of death are extremity hemorrhage, tension pneumothorax, and airway obstruction. Now, that's not necessarily new. We have known that, but the numbers kind of are starting to come out. That tends to be where the majority of deaths are landing. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that stateside, here at home, the civilian world, that those are the most leading causes of death. No, not even in a car accident. Those are issues, but that's combat. So I'll need to start by saying that. Now, we tend to talk about tourniquets a lot because A, there's not a whole ton of training that we need. B, they're easy to use. And C, they're going to fix the highest cause of death. So great, let's talk about it, let's blow it up, let's make it a big deal, and we can save lives. Now, personally, I have refrained from talking about pneumothorax because, what, you're going to go buy a decompression needle and save somebody's life? No, that's getting a little bit messy. You can do more harm. You can cause a pneumothorax in somebody if you're doing it wrong, if you don't have the right training, so on and so forth. But I think I can talk about it and just preface by saying this is not training, this is me just explaining kind of all that is going on. So, pneumothorax, there's closed pneumothorax where, let's say that there is a shock or brunt force that hits somebody's chest wall. Let's say that a rib breaks off and punctures the lung. What happens is, as you inhale and exhale, the air can escape through the lung and into the space between where the lung sits and your chest wall. So as air goes there, it expands and it then pushes back on the lung, and your lung starts to collapse because it doesn't have any tension pneumothorax, to then push against and to expand and contract. An open pneumothorax is when something happens on the outside and opens up space into the chest wall, and there's really no way for the lung to expand and contract because there's nothing pushing against it. Now, tension pneumothorax is when, let's say that a bullet or a knife enters into the chest wall. So as you have a gap there, it opens up, but then when you exhale, that wound closes on itself and creates tension. So then every time that you're going back and forth with expanding and contracting with your diaphragm, it's just pushing even harder against your lung, and it collapses very quickly. This is a life-threatening injury. Now, things that can be done to save this are the proper use of a decompression needle, and also I would encourage you guys to maybe research a little bit of occlusive dressings. I can do a whole nother conversation about that. But occlusive dressings are another thing that you can use if you're on the range and somebody takes a bullet to the chest, you have an entrance and an exit wound straight through a lung, and to regain tension inside the lung, you can close off using, it's basically just a really, really big sticker that goes on either side of the wound. Now, this is super shallow. There is a lot more that can be talked about here, but I thought that this was a good way to talk about this. If you guys have any questions, please ask. And I am not authority by any means. I just have some training, and I know a little bit of what I'm talking about. So, again, if you guys have any questions, just shoot them over, and I'll do my best to answer them.